this morning.
Look what we got here. Coach,
oh boy.
It's manna from heaven. Schedule release day. You're here for it. We've already got it printed out. I FedExed one of these to your house. It'll be arriving tomorrow. Laminated for you, ready to go. Jenna, let's do it. Schedule release day. Awesome.
Here we go. It is schedule release day, and from there, 500 topics have sprung out. We will get to all of them. 256 games over 17 weeks. Nick's got lists and grids, and Coach already has a headache. This is going to be fun. All right, we're going to kick off the show by each of us picking out the first game that grabbed our attention. I'm going to go first. For me, it was a no-brainer. Browns at Ravens, week 1. You know I've been all over the Browns. Browns, Ravens, Ravens, Browns. Baker, Lamar, Einhorn, Finkel. Baker, your #1 overall pick 3 years ago. You got Lamar, who was 32nd overall. Meanwhile, Lamar won the MVP, and Baker's going into a prove-it year. Two teams with a ton of talent. One couldn't do anything with it last year. One, you know what they did. They became the darlings of the NFL. One guy shot a bunch of commercials. One guy talked about how he wanted to work on his passing game and his running game at the same time, head down, grinded it out.
Ouch.
I love where these two teams are going, either in the same direction or in different directions. They split the season series last year. Can't wait to see what they do this year. That was my game circled. It kicks off in week 1. Nick, I will send it over to you. I'm already fired up.
Yeah, I'm also picking a game involving the Baltimore Ravens. It's very early in the season, similar to yours. How about week 3, Kansas City at Baltimore? In a season where there is only one bye in each conference, this could be the single biggest game in the AFC all year. Keep in mind, you mentioned Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Lamar in his career in the regular season, 19-1 as a starter against every team in the league aside from the Kansas City Chiefs. 0-2 against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So noteworthy for a number of reasons. Two best teams in the conference. The tiebreaker will be decided there, all of it. But also noteworthy for another reason. To my friend Kevin Wildes, diehard Patriot fan, and my friend Coach Mangini, who was a Patriot coach during the 2003-2004 Super Bowl runs, where, Coach, I know you very proudly remember you guys won an NFL record 21 consecutive games. So here's why I bring up that in reference to Chiefs-Ravens week 3. The Chiefs, of course, obviously, much as I predicted on this show, won 9 consecutive games last year to end the season and win the Super Bowl. If they beat the Ravens in week 3, they will be favored. Show the schedule. They'll be favored for their next 10 games. 9 plus 13. That would take you to 22 consecutive wins going into week 15 at New Orleans. Who gives a damn about that one? So, Coach, if you want that streak to maintain, you better be rooting for Baltimore in week 3. Kevin Wildes, this is the biggest game of the NFL season. If the Ravens don't beat the Chiefs will probably start off 13-0 at a minimum. So there we go. Already fired up. Week 3, Chiefs at Ravens.
So, Nick, I think this show is great when you're happy. And I know you're a rational guy, and I think Coach will back me up. It is not outrageous that you guys start a little bit slow. This is not a hot take. This is a reasonable take. You've got Texans, Chargers, Ravens. You could go into the Patriots game 1-2, playing the greatest coach of all time, and you could look up, it's not ridiculous, and be 1-3. Coach, can you back me up on that? It's reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know if that's totally reasonable. I think that
oh, come on.
I think it's possible.
There we go.
Usually, though, at the start of the season, if you win the Super Bowl, you've got a lot of momentum going into that next season. And early on, even in the year that we got knocked out of the playoffs after we won the first Super Bowl, we started strong. And that wasn't the issue. It's just we couldn't maintain it. We couldn't deal with our success longer term, and we didn't understand all the pressures that came with winning. Just like I'm sure Kansas City is going to struggle. I just think they'll probably start strong and then run into some bumps. Probably week 4.
Well, I don't know. I don't know when the bumps are coming. Week 4, yeah. Kansas City's going to lose to Jared Stidham-led team. In that early month, Wildes, They have a divisional game. And I'll just finish with this. There's been no team in modern NFL history that has dominated their division like the Kansas City Chiefs have dominated the AFC West over the last 5 years. They've won 27 of their last 29 divisional games, better than any run. The Patriots, pick your team and what they did over a 5-year stretch. And those 2 losses, they had a lead with 5 seconds left in both of those games. So every AFC West game, grab your Sharpie. I know you have Sharpies now, Wilds. Don't pencil in. Sharpie in wins. The Ravens game scares me a bit. But if they beat the Ravens, then, I mean, already write it down. 13-0 in the longest winning streak in NFL history at 22 games, trumping your beloved Patriots. Jenna Wolf, go right ahead, please.
Look, the quicker, Wilds, that you just pencil him in for the Chiefs winning again, whether it happens or not, the quicker we don't, the faster we don't have to listen to all this on and on and on every day until the season actually starts. Wilds, what game jumped out to you from this schedule?
So it's going to be Brady Breeze. It's going to be the best offensive game historically in the history of the NFL. I think this will be a fantastic game, and I like that we don't have to wait to see Tom Brady go through a bunch of minor league teams. Just give me Drew Brees right away. If we can throw up the stats at how interesting this game is, they've got the touchdown record is still out of reach right now for week 1. Passing yards, that equals to 86 miles of yardage, and combined ages, we're looking at 84 years old. The other interesting game that I like, Coach, is November 8th, where I wonder if the season plays out and Tom Brady throws a few more touchdowns than Drew Brees, that we could see the touchdown record go back and forth between them.
I think the Brady Brees matchup is interesting. Having it week 1 and evaluating week 1 is tough. The first game of the season is always the most difficult to prepare for, because so much has happened in the offseason with free agency, with a draft, with how your team is composed. So that's a hard game to evaluate. Now we're talking about Tom Brady's first game with his new team, and in this environment that's so far out of the norm. I don't know if it's going to be really indicative of who these teams and organizations are in week 1.
Wilds, I'm going to say something that I think will make you happy. I don't think the Bucs are going to win that game, but if they do, they have a great chance of starting this first month of the season undefeated. Because after that game in New Orleans, they're home for Carolina, the worst team in that division. They're at Denver, a team that ostensibly is going to be starting Drew Lock at quarterback, and then they're home for the Chargers, who are either going to be starting Justin Herbert or Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. And it's critical for your beloved now Buccaneers, your adopted favorite team, that they start off well, because, and this is what Coach loves, the middle 9 games of the season, they have Chicago, they have Green Bay, they have New Orleans again, they have the Rams, they have the Chiefs, they have the Vikings. So that first month is key. If the Bucs can start off by winning their toughest game of the year in New Orleans, it bodes very well for your beloved Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. Wilds.
I don't like the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. I'm still a Patriots fan, but I'll be rooting for Tom Brady.
All right, Coach, what do you got? You looked at that schedule. I know it stressed you out a little bit because you knew Nick was going to be on today, but what game jumped out at you?
Yeah, I poured over the schedule just like Nick did, just trying to find that one gem. And it was in week 7 for me, looking at the 49ers and the Patriots, and the difference between either the start of the season, week 1, or week 3. When you get to week 7, you really know or start to understand who you are and who you have to be. And I say this every year. You go into the season with who you want to be, and then you realize, the good teams realize who you need to be, and that happens about mid-season. So it's going to be interesting for New England to look at Jimmy Garoppolo and what could have been versus what they're dealing with at quarterback, and we're assuming it's going to be Stidham, but who knows at that point. But it gives that perspective, and then we get to see how well San Francisco deals with the Super Bowl hangover, and that's not an easy thing to do for the winner, but it's historically been very difficult for the loser of the Super Bowl.
All right, so a number of things, Coach. I think this is a great game to key in on. For San Francisco, they're going to be favored in their first 6 games of the season leading into this game at New England. They're home for Arizona. Then they go on the road to both New York teams. They'll be road favorites against both those teams. And then it's 3 straight home games: Philadelphia, Miami, and the Rams leading into this game against New England. So you would feel like at a minimum they should be 5-1, worst case scenario 4-2 going into this game. New England doesn't have that fortuitous schedule leading into the game. However, what they do have is this.